Good
waiting
morning.
to. Hi, Phil.
Hey, how are you?
Oh man, how many years has it been?
It's been a long time, and it's great to reconnect. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I had just seen a tweet, and I go, God, I have to invite Phil, and I've had a haircut, so I could be on camera. How's life been during this pandemic for you, Phil?
I will tell you that it provided a lot of perspective, and it allowed me to I'm blessed out of my mind, and I appreciate it every single day. And this time has really provided me with perspective, family, my
Yeah,
health.
yeah,
Those are really the top priorities in my life, and I'm blessed in both regards. And we moved out of the city a while ago. I think it was a little tougher for people in the city, but we have a little bit of space out here in the country, not in the country, but sort of the suburban country.
right.
And I just focused on my family, my business, my health, clean living. And
Yeah, I
I'm
noticed, and we're going to get to it. So your passion, I'm sure it's not a new passion, but you're out there talking about health a lot, and dietary things, and I want to get to that later on in the interview. But I'd like to kind of catch up with you. I kind of lost touch with you after you left StockTwits and went to Yahoo Finance, and what happened? Did you enjoy your stint at Yahoo Finance? And I know from your Twitter account what you're doing now. But how was that experience at Yahoo Finance for you?
Yahoo. By the way, let me just say, I caught the first half hour of this, and you guys do a great job.
Oh,
Just
thanks,
sort of
Phil.
catching everybody up on what's happening in the currency markets, but even more than that. So I really enjoyed it. I haven't some of these charts I haven't looked at in a long time, and I really, really appreciated the perspective of what
Oh,
you guys are doing.
you're
But
you're welcome here anytime. It's also on video. We put them out on YouTube if you ever want to just check out where our heads are at. Best team I've ever been part of in my long and illustrious career. And we really care about people, and really it's a very difficult endeavor to be a trader, and we try and help people avoid the landmines each of us has stepped on. So, why don't we just go right to the present here, Phil, and tell me about what you're doing with Osprey funds. And I believe there was an IO after that. So, have you embraced blockchain, and is that what they do? Osprey
yeah,
funds?
yeah. So we build digital asset funds,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's the focus of the company. And we have a Osprey Bitcoin Trust, which has been in private placement now for since for over 2 years now. And next week, we've met criteria, FINRA criteria. Next week, the trust will begin trading in the secondary market under ticker OBTC. And really, our mantra is to provide access to Bitcoin, to make it to build a really well structured product. Our
Kind of like
partners are
what
the best.
Grayscale did, Phil? I
Similar
mean,
to Grayscale, very
yeah.
similar to Grayscale.
Okay, because I remember after they took Bitcoin down to 3,000 from 18, and people were talking about wallets and how to store them, and the only kind of wallet I knew was made of leather. So it was kind of like foreign territory to me to wrap my head around it and so forth. So a lot of guys from my generation, still involved in legacy markets, And so I went with GBTC as a trade because I really didn't know how to go about just buying a Bitcoin and putting it in some type of file. I'm not low tech, Phil. I'm no tech. So this is another way for you guys to do it. Where's the secondary market? What are you talking about as far as a secondary market?
Over the
Is it
counter
a
market, OTC.
Oh, OTC. Okay. So
And
it's not a SPAC or anything like that, which is something else I really don't understand. I feel like I've, like my father, my parents, or my grandparents, with all the innovations that are occurring in the market just to keep up with new products and everything that's going on. It's like Future Shock by Toffler. I remember that book.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
Remember reading that? I think I read that in college.
yeah, okay. So yeah, me too. So, we're in that same age group. How about rec shares?
So
Micro, go ahead.
Rec Shares is the parent company,
Oh, I see.
and we have multiple product suites. The other one, Microsectors, builds ETNs, exchange traded notes.
Okay.
And we are in a number of categories, FANG, banks,
Right.
and these are products for traders, energy, cannabis. And that is a great, that has been a lot of fun, and it's been growing like crazy in assets under management total there. And it's really, those are for traders. They're 2 times and 3 times instruments. You could check that out. You can check that out at microsectors.com if you're interested in any of those.
Okay.
But the Osprey product, I see you have that on your screen.
Just brought it up.
Our mantra there is to build great products. So we have partners like Coinmetrics and Fidelity Digital Assets. Fidelity Digital provides the custody of the Bitcoin. So what you were talking about before about the wallets, 20% of all Bitcoin is off the market. And what I mean by that is that, the store, the keys have been lost, or in some way those Bitcoin have assumed to be inaccessible. So that is
it's almost like a cartel, Phil, isn't it?
Well, it's just, what it is? It's behaviorism. Okay. I mean, so much of and I'm going to get all behavioral finance, for the viewers who are not aware, my background is in psychology. I'm a psychologist going back, behavioral economics, and it's really behavioral. And this is why, people are trained, we're behaviorally conditioned to be sloppy with our passwords. If you lose your Google password, you just, ask for another one, and it sends a message to your phone, and you put in a code and you get a new password. And that happens at just about every website. But with Bitcoin, it's decentralized. So there's no place for you to get your password back. So we've all been trained to be very loose with our passwords because it's so easy to get them back. So with Bitcoin, people got them very early on. Hey, I was talking with a neighbor the other day that lives across the street from me, and he was saying, yeah, back in like 2012, one of my geek friends sent me this Bitcoin. I had it on my phone, lost the phone, and it would be worth like $9,000 today. And it's lost forever. I have no idea what happened to that phone. It's gone with all the other old phones. And that's what kind of worried me. The services that we provide, by virtue of trading under a ticker, is that's and having a strong custodian is that you don't really have to worry so much about wallets and keys and sort of the complexities of owning a digital asset directly.
Okay, I know there's a new contract coming up on Ethereum. I'm just showing it. And, I want to get to the psychologist background that you have here. And, I want you to give me your best diagnosis for current market conditions. I can't remember. I mean, you mentioned it, marijuana stocks. I mean, everything, many markets, 10 baggers are not unusual. And then, what we recently had with Reddit traders, what do you call this market? Euphoric, manic, or disorderly. I mean, have you ever seen what's happened in crypto? These gains aren't normal that
Yeah,
I've seen in the market. So, I mean, it's outside of, things where you just normally see trends in markets and then corrections. But I think people think it's normal to buy something at 5 and see it at 45, 50 in a month or two. And it's not. So how would you diagnose this market?
Yeah, here's my view. We are living in an age of very significant upheaval and confusion and disorientation and change. And I think it goes back a ways. It goes back to, if you want to really trace it far back, it goes back to the advent of the semiconductor, right? And so I'm talking about Moore's Law, and we have had a technological advancement on this planet over the last 60 years that is massive in scale. And we saw it with the dot-com boom as well. That was part and parcel. And now we're beginning to see that's beginning to mature, and we're seeing changes that have endured and that are becoming a part of a new fabric. And any time that you have that substantial, humans have gone through hundreds of year periods, thousands of year periods when almost nothing has changed.
Yeah.
And that, periods of difficulty, life is hard, but also stability in terms of the environment around them and the way that their cultures were structured. And we are seeing now an upheaval. And I can only imagine what it was like. Imagine the first generation after the wheel was invented, right? So you had, parents, there was no wheel. Right. The wheel is invented. You're in some village or wherever you're living. And then you have children, and they have never not seen a wheel. And all of the things that come along. So just because the wheel was invented doesn't mean the wheelbarrow was invented. That came later. So you had all of these after effects, and the way the world changed massively in the 3 to 5 generations that followed the advent of the wheel. Well, we're seeing the exact same thing right now. And we're seeing all types of effects on communication.
Is blockchain the wheel, Phil?
What's that?
It's blockchain the wheel.
I think the semiconductor is the wheel.
Okay.
And I think it is changing everything. Everything. It's, it started with computing, and then you had communication and the internet, and then you had the way businesses are changed, and you have the way accountancy has changed. Now you're seeing the beginning, quite possibly, and I'm hedging myself here because I can't tell the future. As a matter of fact, your question about the environment we're in, I could have gone a different direction. I could have said, listen, nobody knows anything until after it's over. And the one big takeaway about this environment right now is humility. And that, we're seeing things that you've been around, I've been around. We remember the dot-com bubble. We remember the global financial crisis, and we're still seeing things that are novel to us. And humility is really always an important component of market participation and market observation. And these types of periods of instability, of things that we can't, that don't compute into our models of the world, those are periods where we learn humility. Now, whether we remember that or not is a whole different story.
Yeah, usually
But
it takes getting your teeth kicked in. In fact, I'll take advantage of this moment in the interview to announce with the greatest pride to the whole world how humble I've become. So, anyway, looking at humility, being a trader is something that it's definitely respecting the power of a market and the power of certain forces in the market, kind of like the ocean. You go out into the ocean and it's so powerful you don't know it till a big wave comes. And humility is also about helping other people, isn't it, Phil? That showing people the way and sharing your experience. I mean, what good is anything until it is shared with another?
yeah, I'll tell you that having an opportunity to help even one person in this world is a privilege and a blessing. And I can't, even in the smallest way. And so that has, that's certainly a priority in my life. Now, that being said, I think, I think you have to take care of yourself first, because you can't really,
Good
take
point.
care of other people until you have your own house in order.
Yeah.
I just wanted to finish up one last point about
Go.
the present environment.
Okay.
The humility, we're not going to know. We're not going to know. So just, I'm sitting here and my answer to your question is I have no idea. I don't know what the future pretends. I'm not going to pretend to know. I got a million theories about it. None of them have been proven correct. And I'm just going to, there's things that I'm just not going to get involved in. I'm not going to get involved in GameStop because I have no edge there. And it's a noise festival. It's not my game. And I don't have to be involved.
Sorry to interrupt. How different is GameStop from cannabis stocks? At least from the charts that we can look from like a few months ago.
Everything is the same. There's no difference in any asset. There's no difference in any asset. Every asset is at the whim of human behavior, and human emotion. And so
I agree with you, Doctor. And I think you've done a magnificent job. And I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. From what you've said, you've been so far involved in everything that looks to me like a bubble. And I'm not saying that as a negative thing, because you can make tons of money by, in essence, predicting in advance which kind of markets will create the emotional response that will generate a bubble.
You are hitting on some of the current work that I'm doing, some of the current research that I'm doing that I really haven't written publicly about yet, but that is very, very interesting, I think. And that is, what happens after a bubble to an asset? You have some bubbles that never come back.
Yeah, and historically, exactly. There are two possible outcomes. One, it dies completely. And two, if there are some elements of value, then it starts rebuilding that value from very low valuations post-bubble.
I think that's correct. I think I would even say there's maybe a third, but it's not as well formulated. And that's the one where it just kind of dribbles along for a long time before coming back, or maybe never comes back, but never goes to zero. I'm sort of thinking of the Nikkei as a possible representative of, a long-term view of the
30 years. Yeah.
But I think you're correct. I think there's two, there's the tulip, and then there is Amazon, right? I mean, Amazon went from 113 to 6, and now it's way higher than 113. And Bitcoin, you could make a similar argument.
Yeah, there've been a few bubbles in Bitcoin.
It's already had multiple extreme, parabolic moves. and then crashes and then comebacks.
Yeah, how about housing,
and-
Phil? I mean, after '08, when everyone was losing their house and hedge funds came in and scooped them up and turned them into a yield investment, I don't think a lot of people thought that we'd ever see those price levels exceeded after 2008, 2009, and way surpassed them.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
100%. And there's fundamental value there, right? People live in,
right.
people need houses. There's more people in this country now than there were then, and people need to live somewhere. So there is that sort of a fundamental underpinning. I think one of the interesting things about Bitcoin is that the fundamental underpinning is not well delineated, not well understood, and still sort of the game is still afoot in terms of what the meaning of it is. We know what the meaning of housing is.
Right.
We're still only coming to slowly understand what the meaning of ubiquitous digital assets are.
Okay, and I know we're talking about a lot of financial assets and what they mean, but you know, you and I are from the same generation. How would you diagnose the body politic in America now, Phil? And you know, is this a symptom? Do you think it could manifest to where we're seeing, you know, is America going to bounce back? Was it a bubble? And you know, how do you think that we can bridge this divide that is between, you know, half the population one way, half the population our brothers and sisters, citizens, the other way? What do you think it's going to take for a healing, and can it heal?
You know, I'm an optimist by nature, and I hope that we pull through this and learn from it. I have no idea.
Does the country need
I
like
do
a
think
marriage
it's a
counselor?
What's that?
The country needs a marriage counselor.
You
right now,
know,
right?
I think it's a reflection of the change. It's a spin-off of all of the change that is happening in this world and has been happening. And we have a lot of growing pains and we have a lot of changing pains, and change is always difficult. I'm not sure how we're going to come through. I do know this, and this goes back to the question you asked me right at the top. And that is, you know, you have to have your own house in order. And during periods of like this, and this is a selfish thing that I'm saying, and I'm just being very clear about that. You got to take care of yourself, and you got to take care of your own, because you're going to have people in your orbit who are going through difficult times. You're going to have people in your orbit who are suffering. You're going to have people in your orbit who are angry, more so now than at any time that I can recall.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's a matter right now of taking care of your own first, and then once you with both eyes open, feel like observe that you have your house in order, then you can go and help others as best you can. And I'm just,
and this
like
part
I
of your
said,
effort
really
to
blessed.
do that, Phil, the Prime Cuts newsletter right here.
Yeah, the Prime. So here's that, you know,
I'm subscribing right now, buddy.
I love it. I appreciate it. Here's that right now in a nutshell. So, you know, I over the course of the last maybe 10 years, I've dedicated myself to getting really healthy. And, you know, one of the main reasons for that is that I started becoming a parent a little bit later than most people. So I'm 53 and my eldest is 14. So I had my first kid at 39. And I looked around and I saw a lot of parents with kids the same age who were younger than me. And I just thought, hey, you know, I want to be a grandparent who is active and healthy and able to just be an awesome grandparent. And so I began dedicating myself to really getting healthy. And I have found that it's a circuitous route. It's not just a straight shot. You don't just get healthy. You know, you don't just make a decision. It's filled with emotion. It's filled with poor decisions. It's filled with 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, sometimes 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. So it's this long thing. And, you know, especially in maybe the last 2 years or so, I've really gotten to a point where I'm at a place where it's gotten consistent, where I'm really healthy, and where I'm in a stable situation. And I saw what was happening in the world, and I was like, well, you know, what is one thing I can do to give back a little bit? And I had people, you know, people call me and talking with friends of mine that are going through difficult things and so forth. And my background is I am a psychologist by education.
Right.
And so I was like, well, you know, if I put this out, I may be able to reach more people. And the goal really is to help one person get healthier. And if I do that, if I write, you know, 500 of these over the next, 10 years, one a week on Sunday mornings, and one person really benefits profoundly, then I will have considered it a success. And I really opine on nutrition, exercise, rest, mindfulness. Those are kind of the, and I don't keep a really well structured. I just kind of write about whatever is in my head and whatever I'm thinking about that week. And I focus a lot on low carb and high protein. I focus a lot on walking and moving the body every single day and resistance training. I do read a good bit about longevity research and about nutrition research. And I follow a small group of super competent people who are teaching me. And so that's really what this is all about.
All right. Well, you know what? If you bought Bitcoin at 3,000 and you bought a lot of it and it's at 45 right now, and you have a hard time getting out of bed and you have a lot of symptoms, and coming from a cancer survivor, which I am, your health is your wealth, and you could be rich, and if you're sick, it doesn't mean a damn thing. So great mission, Phil, and I'm so glad that we reconnected, and like to have you back and get you into the rotation. And I wish you the greatest success. And you know what? May you live to be a great grandfather. Thanks for being here with us.
Dale, I can't thank you enough. I'm happy to come on anytime.
It was really great to, and the best of luck and success with your, with your OBTC symbol, and people pay attention to it. I'll start tracking it, and everything you're doing, Phil. You're a warrior on many different levels. So thank you, my trading warrior brother, for being with us today.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, buddy. All right, so that's a wrap, everyone. And you heard Phil. So don't just count your pips or your crypto, count your blessings. And we'll see everyone tomorrow. Don't forget to join Blake and the team for going over the bias chart and intraday action. And that's a wrap. See everyone tomorrow. Adios. Thanks,
Bye-bye,
Phil.
everybody.
Adios, guys.
See you, Steve.
Bye-bye, coach.